Today is May the 5th, 2015. My name is Tanya Finchum, along with Alex Bishop. We're with Oklahoma State University, and today we're in Sulphur, Oklahoma, to speak with Ruby Beasley, and this is part of our Oklahoma 100-Year Life. So thank you for having us today. Let's start with having you tell us when and where you were born.
I was born in 5 miles of Ardmore on Caddo Creek. I was born the 6th of November, 1910. And I was born on Sunday.
On Sunday. At home?
Yeah, at home.
And the doctor came?
Dr. Higgins. He was with Mama with us kids, and he was with me with 3 of mine.
That's a pretty good record.
That's right. Yeah, he was with Mama when I was born. And then he was with me with 3 of my kids.
So he made house calls.
Yeah, I made house calls. I never had one of mine in the hospital. It was all at home.
Well, did you said you had brothers and sisters?
I have sisters, no brothers.
No brothers. And older or younger than you?
I had one sister 4 years older than me, and 3 younger.
Okay.
There were 5 of us.
5 girls. That made for an interesting household, didn't it?
Only I was a boy. So I was Dad's cowboy.
You were?
That's right.
How did that happen?
Well, he just called me his cowboy, and I rode a horse and everything just like he did, and everything. I was his cowboy.
Did you grew up on a farm or a ranch?
On a ranch 10 miles south of town here.
How big was it? How many acres?
1,100, I think's what Dad had.
That's quite a bit of property.
And there's a Armistice Caves is in that pasture. And when Dad bought that place, we were told that a man raised 9 kids in that cave. And when we moved there, we found over there to caves, we found a piece of an old iron bedstead and some of these here old high-top button shoes that like women used to wear, 100 years ago. We found 1 or 2 of them over there. And you see, when you go down in that cave, there's a great big huge rock. Oh, it's that long. And it's that wide. And it's that thick. And it's across here. And to go down in the cave, you had to stoop over to go under that rock. And then go 2 or 3 steps and then turn to your right, and you're in a big room. Did you ever hear of them Armistice Caves?
I have not, no.
Well, that's what they are. And every time me and Mama and Dutch was my younger sister, and every time we went over there, why, see, there's an iron ladder goes down to the water. And I'd always go down that iron ladder, and there's an old tin cup hanging here. I'd get that old tin cup, reach down there and get an ice cold drink of water and hand it up there to Mama and Dutch. And it's just a stream runs through there. Oh, I don't know how wide it is. Something like that, I guess. And this runs right through there. And there's been everybody on Sundays and Saturdays there used to be people going over there all the time to go to the caves.
Hmm.
And one time there's two men went over there, and they took, I don't know how many balls of binding twine now, or how many feet's on the ball of binding twine now. I used to know, but I don't now. And they'd tie that at the entrance of the cave, and when you got out of that first room, well, there's a big round hole, and you crawl through that, and you're in another room. And it goes on and on and on like that. And as far as them balls of binding twine would go, that's how far those two men went.
Hmm.
And it was still a-going. The same thing. Big hole, you crawl through, you're in another big room. And all like that.
Was the stream going along with that, or just the?
Oh yeah, that was going all the time.
Hmm.
And in there somewhere they have, I guess that guy that raised the 9 kids in there, he had a canoe. And he'd get in that canoe and go as far as he could in the canoe. Then he'd get out, crawl through that hole, and get in another canoe, go as far as he could in it. And on and on and on like that. Nobody's ever been to where it goes.
Mm.
And I heard that Brown filled the entrance up to that cave. And I bet you pretty Mayhart don't he? I doubt if he knows anything about the cave. But I sure would like to talk to him about that.
But you also had a cave on your property, or is this the same one?
The same one.
Same one. Hmm.
Over there in our pasture.
And you're. So.
Not too far from the windmill. It was right southeast of the windmill. And the windmill is sitting right there over a big, you go down like this, as far as you could walk, and then you get down on your knees and crawl down to the water. All you can see, nothing but water. Nothing but water.
Sounds like your father picked a good piece of property.
Well, I guess he didn't know all about all of that either when he bought it. I doubt it. He knew about when Dad bought it, we were told about the cave. That some man raised 9 kids in it.
Right.
Well, I guess he did, because we found, when we moved there, we found them high-top button shoes, you know, a couple of them, and a piece of no iron bedstead.
Well, what did your father grow on the property? Cattle or cotton or what?
Yeah, we had cattle, and we raised red-top cane, high gear, and corn. That's all we planted in rows. And I planted every bit of it. When I could just reach up like this and hold up a 1-row planter pulled by a mule. I planted all of it. Of course, Dad went along and made the furs.
And you worked with a mule.
Well, yeah.
Did it have a name?
Well, I think one we had pulling that was Rhodey.
Rhodey.
We had 2 white-nosed mules. That was Jack and Rhodey. Now, we had 5 mules, the best mules in the country. Now, we had them.
Hmm.
But back when I was born on the north side of Cattle Creek. Well, I was about maybe 2 years old, or not quite 2. Why, Mama was pregnant with Dutch, and she got double pneumonia. And Doc Higgins come out the house and stayed 10 days, or he stayed till Mama got well. And when he come, first thing he asked Dad if he had any whiskey. Dad told him no, he sure didn't. He said, well, go get some. So Dad saddled up his horse and went into Ardmore, 5 miles. And he was going to take the shortcut, so they swum Cattle Creek. And because he was going the shortcut. So Dad went and got the whiskey. Well, they made up one of these big goblets full of toddy. Well, they set it on the machine. Mama's cousin was staying there, supposed to be taking care of me and Vera and doing the cooking and everything, and help taking care of Mama, because Doc Higgins was there and everything. And so they set that goblet of toddy on the machine. Well, nobody paying any attention to me. So I got a chair, pushed it up there to the machine, and drank every bit of it. So they were shelling me for a day or 2. But they knew what was the matter with me, you know.
Sure. Well, how do you make a toddy? What's in it besides whiskey?
A little water and sugar.
Okay. So it tasted okay.
Why, it was good. My lands, it was good.
Well, when you say machine, what kind of machine?
What?
You said it was sitting on the machine.
Sewing machine.
Okay.
Just like that and right there.
One of the Trindle ones where you use your
Yeah. Yeah.
feet? Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was. So that's only kind Mama ever had. That was Mama's machine sitting right there.
So she sewed a lot.
Oh yeah, she sewed and made all the girls' basketball bloomers.
Bloomers.
That's what they had to wear then. They didn't go half naked like they do now.
Did you play?
Why, Lynn, yeah, I played, and the Nebo girls never was beat. We'd play, we could go to Darty, we could go to Palmer, anywhere we went, and they could come to our court too. It didn't make any difference. The Nebo girls won every game they ever played. They never was beat. And when we'd go to them or they come there, we'd say, wash them out, wring them out, hang them on the line. We can beat Palmer any old time.
And you did.
We did. Or Darty or whoever we was playing. You know, we could go to their court and then next time maybe they come to ours.
Were the courts inside or outside?
Outside. Outside.
Dirt or concrete or?
Dirt.
Dirt.
Well, Lord, yeah, I didn't have concrete and nothing inside then when I went to school.
So you had to play only when it was nice weather?
Why, you couldn't play out there if it was raining or too cold.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
What position did you play?
forward. Men-in-law or Mans or Alma Kirby, either one.
That was when they had the court was divided in 3 sections?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So how many years did you go to that school?
Well, I went to Mill Creek in the 9th grade. The 8th grade's all they done down there at Nebo.
Okay.
Was the 8th grade.
And how would you get to school?
A bus. I rode the bus to Mill Creek, but to go to Nebo, we walked.
You walked? About how far was it from your place?
It is 2 1/4 miles.
One way.
One way. And we walked. And me and Dad, in the wintertime, of course, we had to get up and go feed them cattle. When that talk I've got in there now of theirs, of Mama's and Dad's. Why, when it struck 4, Dad would holler, "Ruby, 4 o'clock, time get up." So I'd get up and build a fire in the heater, get my clothes on, go build a fire in the cook stove, and get breakfast. Me and Dad would eat, then we got out and went and fed them cattle. And we always tried to get back in time. We tried to get back by 7 o'clock. I'd run in and change my clothes right quick, put me a sausage between a biscuit and a hard fried egg between a biscuit, and wrap it up in a newspaper and hit the road.
What were your sisters doing while you were doing all that work?
Well, they wasn't doing anything to help me. See, they was not, any of them, Mama or them either one, wasn't even up. Me and Dad would eat breakfast by ourselves. And then we got out and went and got the team, loaded up the wagon, loaded 160 bundles of red top cane on the wagon. Dad would load it one morning and I'd load it the next. And we always took the horse, just in case some of them wasn't there. Dad counted them every day, and if there was anything that wasn't there, hunted them up. Had the horse over there and hunted them up.
Did you ever have to drive the cattle to town?
Huh?
Did you ever have to drive the cattle to town or to market?
No. Lord, no, we didn't drive nothing. Jim Vales come out there one time, and he bought I forget now how many steers we had. But Jim Vales, he's dead though now. Long time ago.
Wow. How did you deal with like ticks and other animals when it came to your cattle?
How did it deal with what?
Did you ever have like ticks and other bugs and other things that would make cattle sick? Did you ever have to deal with that?
No.
Take them to the pond or anything like that?
Take them to where?
To the pond to get rid of the ticks?
We took them one time. There was somebody, it wasn't us, got ticks on their cattle. And of course, you had to dip them. And they made everybody dip their cattle. Well, ours didn't have a tick on them, but we had to take them and dip them. Well, of course, we had to round them up way over there in the pasture, and then had to take them through some people's nearly the yard and take them a mile west up there at Old Dock Hale corner, and that's where the dipping vat was. And you talk about it ain't a job of taking 160 or 70 head of cattle all that way from the pasture over yonder clear up there. I was one of the cowboys that helped take them up there. Of course, Dad had to hire 4 or 5 guys to help, you know. And so that's the way we got the cattle dipped. And then, of course, had to take them back.
Took all day?
Huh?
Did it take all day?
Just about it. Just about it.
We were talking about cattle drives when we stopped.
Well, we just had to drive them over there and back. And of course, like I said, Dad would have to hire at least 4 guys, and then there'd be me and Dad, you know.
And your sisters didn't help with that either?
Oh, Lord, no. They never rode a horse in their life, I don't guess.
Well, did they help your mother with cooking and cleaning and that sort of thing?
Oh, some, yeah. Oh, yeah.
In other words, they had a pretty easy life compared to what you were doing?
I did our plowing, planting, everything.
Did you enjoy doing that?
Well, yeah, I love to. That's all I knew to do.
Well, all that work, what would you do for fun?
You can hand me my hat over there if you want to take a picture of me with my hat on.
I'll get an action shot.
It's on the table.
We'll take one after we
Did you
finish.
get it? You didn't get my hat?
No, we'll take one after we finish. We'll take one with the hat.
Oh, okay.
You wore it most of the time, I bet.
I wear it all the time. Everywhere I go, I wear my hat. Don't nobody know me if I haven't got my hat on.
And did you wear one when you were helping your father?
Well, Lord, yes. Heck yeah.
Well, tell me about the house you grew up in.
Well, when we first moved there, it was just a 2-roomed house. And Dad built a great big, huge kitchen onto it. And had the kitchen, and Mama made our dining table, made the bench that us kids sat on, and everything. And Mama made her cabinet too. The cabinet she had at that time. She made it.
How did she learn to do that?
Well, I don't know how she learned. She just knew how.
I wondered if her dad taught her or something.
She never did see her dad. Her dad died before she was ever born.
So she figured out how to solve problems then.
Well, she just knew how to do things. That's all I can tell you.
Well, with 5 girls, did you share?
But Mama, she would have made a good carpenter. Yeah. And she could have built a house if she'd have, been a man and had everything. Well, she could have built a house.
Well, where did you all girls sleep?
In the bed?
Did you all share a room, all 5 of you in one room?
Well, all 5 of us wasn't there at one time.
Okay.
Because when Vera got 16 years old, she got married. Jake Kirby. And I wasn't ever in bed too long. Yeah, we slept together.
Yeah. Stay warm.
Yeah. We had to stay warm.
Well,
Them days.
the house was heated by wood?
Yes.
Wood.
Yep.
And the bathroom was out back?
It was out in the yard. Not in the yard, it is out away from the house.
How would you all do bath time?
Huh?
How would you do bath time?
In a tub.
In the kitchen?
Well, in there somewhere.
Warm the water on the stove?
Yes.
Well, if you did all that work, what would you do for fun?
A little more work. Well, that's right. If you got out there and worked till sun up till about sundown,
It is.
what else did you want to do for fun?
Go to sleep, I guess.
Well, and we all went to bed at 8 o'clock. Everybody went to bed at 8 o'clock.
What time do you get up and go to bed today?
Well, I went to bed about 11 o'clock last night. I listened to David Letterman and them. Yeah, you know, they had it from way back there when Johnny Carson was on.
Mm-hmm.
Way back there. And I think the 20th of this month will be his last show.
And then what time did you get up today?
This morning?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is between 6 and 7.
So not 4 o'clock.
Well, no, it wasn't 4 o'clock. I could have been up at 4 o'clock, though.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, was church something that you went to a lot when you were growing up?
Yeah, we used to walk of a morning and go to the Nebo. Mr. Emerson was the preacher down there. He was a little old bitty, white-headed guy. But we went in the daytime, but we didn't go at night. Because Dad and them wouldn't let us too far to walk in the dark.
Was it a Baptist church or Methodist or what?
Oh, I don't know what it was now.
I was just, did they do baptisms? No.
Not down there, wasn't nowhere to go.
Okay. So where did you graduate high school?
I didn't graduate from high school.
All right. How far did you
I
get?
just liked a little bit going through the 9th grade
Okay.
over there at Mill Creek.
Okay. And then did you get married at that time or?
Yes.
How did you meet your husband?
He was working for Hayden Simpson next door down from where we lived.
And what would you do for dates?
Huh?
What would you do for a date?
Well, he'd come up there and we'd go there in the pasture and a Dutch or somebody took a picture of us sitting on the corral gate over there. That's about all.
Go to any dances? No.
No, we went to Dutch and Bumper used to have a all-night dance and a midnight supper. And then somebody else would have it at their house the next Saturday night. And on like that. And that's the only time we ever went to a dance or anything.
Was Sulphur the closest town to where you were growing up?
Well, yeah,
Was it? It's changed a lot?
because it's just 10 miles down here where we lived.
Okay.
So Sulphur was closer than Ardmore, or Mill Creek.
Did it have a movie theater?
I think so.
Anything?
Never did go to it though.
Too busy working.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Going back to your husband, how old were you when you got married?
16,
16.
How old was he?
21, 22.
So he robbed the cradle.
Well, he was 22.
And then you stayed here in Sulphur when you married? Nope.
No, we moved to Ardmore. We didn't live in town in Ardmore. We lived out on E.T. Foster's place. It was just out east of the fairground right there.
Well, who did your dad hire to replace you?
Well, it wasn't too long till he sold out.
Sold out.
Because he didn't have nobody else. And if I'd had any sense, I'd never would have got married and stayed there. Yeah,
Really?
that's right.
Did you and your husband stay in Oklahoma the whole time?
Oh, me and, I call him F.E., his name was Francis. And we stayed in round Ardmore there till we separated. But he's the one done the separating, it wasn't me. And then later in 45, in 46, me and George got married.
Okay.
But he died the 18th of May of 90.
And you had how many children?
Huh?
How many children?
No.
No.
Oh, we had, me and Francis had 4. 3 girls and a boy, and my son, he just passed away the 14th of March. He was buried on the 19th of this year. And 5 years ago today, my daughter passed away.
Pretty hard to deal with those losses?
Why, you sure hate to,
Yeah, you do.
you know.
Did George have any children before he married you?
Had 2 girls,
So,
and but they're both gone. Rachel had cancer and she gave her body to science. And I don't know what Eunice done. She lived in Arkansas.
Now, did you and George stay in Oklahoma?
No. We went around, he went down there to see his dad. Hadn't seen him in 26 years. So he went down there, and I went to California out there at my sister's, out Dutch's house. So then I went from California to San Antonio. And we got married, and the guy that married us didn't have no arms. He didn't have, he could write with his toes. But he had someone to help him, you know.
well, did you work when you were in California?
Yeah,
What did you
I
do?
run a dry cleaning and laundry truck.
You drove it and picked up,
I sure did.
and then in San Antonio, what did you do?
Well, I worked in the Handy Andy's grocery store. Until then we went to work for Rio Vista, and I drove a milk truck and picked up people's milk and took it to the plant, and then I'd work in the ice cream plant.
No. Did you get to sample the product?
Well, Lord, yeah, you ate all you wanted.
And do you still like ice cream?
I'm not crazy about it. But I can tell you one thing, the real ice cream, that's the only one that's fit to eat. that their iced milk and all of that stuff, it's no good.
It's no good.
It's made with water. So the real ice cream is the only one is fit to eat.
Well, then when did you come back to Oklahoma?
Huh?
When did you come back to Oklahoma?
January of 80?
80. To here in Sulphur?
Huh?
To here?
Yeah.
To here.
Been right here ever since.
I'm curious, what was Dutch's real name?
Thelma Charlie?
Charlie. Still hoping for a boy, huh?
Huh?
Your dad was still hoping for a boy with Charlie.
I don't know.
So we had Ruby.
Vera, my sister, Vera, she married Jake Kirby, and they had Charlie Kirby. They had one kid. He lives in Stratford. His name is Charlie.
So
Charlie Samuel. That is my sister. He's my nephew. There ain't any of us are living now but me and Cricket, and she lives in Garland, Texas.
Cricket.
Well, that's her nickname, and Snooks is his nickname. Been called that all her life.
Hey.
But her name is Jessie Charlie Elizabeth.
Okay.
But she goes by Cricket.
Well, are you the first one to make it to 100? In your
That's right.
family?
That's right. Vera was 92 and she passed away, and so was Dutch. Vera passed away the 4th of January of 99. And Dutch passed away the 5th of 5th of August of I guess 2005. No, she didn't pass away the 5th. Yes, but she her birthday was the 31st of May, and she lived to the 31st of August. She was 92 or 91 and 3 months. When she died on the 5th. 2000. 5th of August. All right.
And the other two sisters?
Well, Ruth, she passed away in 62. She had cancer. No, she passed away. She was 62 years old, but she passed away in 82. Okay.
And then the other one? There were 5 of you?
Cricket? Well, she's still
Cricket.
living.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
I caught up.
She's still living. Me and her are the only ones living.
What do you think your secret is to living so long?
Work.
Work?
That's right. Oh, there, long ago, one day I went with Frances, my daughter. She's 87. My daughter is.
Well, she's going to make it to 100 too, I'd say.
Well, I wouldn't know. I was 17 when she was born. And now she's 87.
I was thinking maybe yours might have been that cold water from the spring.
Oh, I didn't get to drink enough of that. I drank this sulphur water.
Oh, well, maybe that's the secret then.
Well, if you have a urinary tract infection or anything like that, that's what you need to drink. People from Oklahoma City will come down here in big old 5-gallon glass jugs or 10 gallons or whatever it is, and get that sulphur water. They do it all the time.
I want to back up a bit. When you were, did you ever have a? You talked when I was here about it, finding a silver dollar.
Oh, I found when we lived down there at Buck Irvin Springs. Why, I was just a little bitty kid. I wasn't even old enough to go to school. I found a silver dollar sticking halfway up out of the ground. I've still got that dollar.
Huh.
It was made in 1889. And Mama, I've got a silver dollar that Francis, my husband, gave me to have some pictures developed with. But I never did because it was made in 1888, and that was the year Mama was born in. And this one I found, made in 89, that is Miss Bostic, her birthday. So they used to come up to our house one Sunday, we'd go down there the next. They up our house next, we'd down there next. On like that, for years and years.
Well, do you have a favorite childhood memory?
But Lord of mercy, I liked everything they did.
All right. Nothing, one thing sticks out? What about Christmas time?
Well, one time we still lived down there to Buck Irvin Springs. Well, of course, me and Dutch just little kids. And Dad, he'd tease us, and, well, Santa Claus can't come tonight. The weather's too bad. He can't make it. He killed us like that all the time. Well, of course, we didn't know whether he's coming or not. And Dad would say, no, he won't be here tonight because the weather's too bad and he can't make it. But we hung up our stockings anyway. We had a fireplace. I'd hang mine on one side, Dutch hang hers on the other side. And Vera, she had to hang hers on the back of a chair. You know, the way that was made then, why, the post of the chair, you'd come up like this, you know, and you could just hang your stocking over that, you see. So that's the way Vera done. And I remember old Santa Claus, he did come. And brought Vera a great big elephant, that tall. But I guess it got burned up or something another when their house burned. And anyway, me and Dutch, oh yeah, and Vera's stocking, you know, would be filled of oranges and apples and candy and nuts. Well, ours would be too. But I remember one time we had a little doll and a doll bed. And the bed would fold up flat. And Mama made little sheets and pillowcases and things for our doll bed, you know, and make dresses and things for our dolls. And the one I had was named Marion. It was on the back of her here, on the head. And her name was Marion. She was blonde-headed. But Duchess was black-headed, but it didn't have a name on it either. So we had them dolls for years and years and years, and I think it was when somebody come and we was playing, you know, and mine got broke. My doll got broke.
Couldn't be fixed?
No.
No.
No, it couldn't be fixed. And Vera, she had a doll. Oh, it was great tall like that. And it had the knees and arms and everything was jointed. and you could do the arms anyway, you know, and her legs too, because they were jointed. And her doll was made of leather-like, white leather, I guess you'd call it leather, some kind of stuff. And Snooks, Charlie Curdy, he's still got that doll.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, he's still got that doll.
Well, was your father and mother born in Oklahoma, or did they come here from somewhere else? Do you know?
Dad came from Tennessee and Mama from Georgia, Dalton, Georgia.
Well, where in Tennessee?
Where is it?
No, where in Tennessee? Do you know?
Well, if you'd name over some places, I might could tell you.
Chattanooga, Memphis,
No.
Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, Sevierville.
Oh, I don't remember now. But anyway, they came from Tennessee when Dad was just a boy. And where that Wilson oil field is now. Dad plowed up 100 acres of land there with oxen. Where that Wilson oil field is now. And Dad showed me and Dutch the little log house that Grandpa built.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's been a long time ago too.
Dad's brother lived at Walters, and me and Dad went out there and took me and Dutch with him. And we stayed about a week, I think, out there, and they had a self-playing piano. Self-playing piano. Well, Lord, me and Dutch thought that was we couldn't get over it playing itself, you know.
Yeah.
But they let us play it all day if we wanted to, you know. And I remember when we was coming back home, he had his youngest brother. They were just three of them. Well, they had a little sister, but it died when it was a baby. And as we were coming back, we come by Ragtown. Did you ever hear of Ragtown?
No, I haven't.
Well, Uncle Bob lived at Ragtown. And we come by there and stayed all night. Well, him and Aunt Lizzie they had 3 kids, but the boy, Calvin, was his name, and he was a wrestler. I think it was a wrestler or a boxer or something. Anyway, he got his ribs broke, and gangrene set up and killed him. Well, like I said, when we were coming from Uncle Temp's, why, we come back by Uncle Bob's and stayed all night. Well, I remember Dad or Uncle Bob one give Hazel and Beatrice and me and Dutch all a nickel apiece to go up there at the store and get us an ice cream cone. Yeah, we got to go up there and give us ice cream cone.
Were you traveling by car by that time, or
Yeah,
was it
Dad bought an old Model T Ford, and that's what he was driving.
It still wouldn't go too fast?
Well, it'd go fast enough. There'd be a lot of people saved now if the dadgum speed limit was down to 60 miles an hour. I don't know what it is. What is the speed limit now?
65.
65. Most places it's 65.
But they don't go by that.
Oh no.
They go straight on.
Yes.
Then they have a wreck. Wind up somewhere. Have a wreck.
Did you ever think you'd make it to 100?
Well, I never did think anything about it. I never did think anything about it.
And you'll soon be 105.
Well, the 6th of November. And over there at Long Grove, you go there Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays and eat dinner for $2. And I mean, you get a real good dinner. And every other Friday they have brunch. It's $3.
And you go?
Huh?
Do you go?
When I'm down at Francis, I go with them.
Okay.
But I'm not, from here I don't.
When did you give up driving?
When I couldn't see. When I got to where I couldn't see to drive.
So what do you typically do in a day?
Well, I hardly ever, well, when it's where you can work outside, I work outside.
And what are some of the things you do?
What's some of the things I do?
When you work outside?
Well, I take my hoe and clean out a strip about that wide, this side of the fence out there, maybe clean out yonder around the barn. I have plenty to do. That old commode and things that's sitting out there, that is brought out of the house, sitting out there, I sit down on it a lot of times. Of course, I've got a chair I take with me too, out there. Work a little bit and sit down a little bit. Like down there at the Rio Vista, they had Mexicans working. And Mr. Hildebrand, he was the boss and the owner. And so one day he's just out driving around, you know, seeing everything. And he could talk Spanish just as good as the next Spanish guy. And so he come to these three guys. They were all sitting down in the shade. And Mr. Hildebrand said, he said, y'all not working? Or he said something, I don't know just what he said. And they said, they don't pay much and they don't worky much. That's what they told Mr. Hildebrand. Mr. Hildebrand, he couldn't hardly keep, I guess he might have said something, I don't know, back to him, you know, in Spanish. But they told him, said, well, they don't pay much and we don't work him much. Yeah, I kept the store there for 3 years.
What kind of store?
Grocery store.
Grocery store.
Yeah, I waited on all of them Mexicans.
Do you know Spanish?
No,
No.
a word or two, como esta, and a word or two, I don't know. But no, I don't know Spanish.
I don't either. You're doing better than I am, if you know that. Well, let's back up. Do you remember much about the Depression?
Well, I remember if you had a hog to sell, I know we had one time and you just got $4 for it. $4. All you got for that big hog.
Well, living on the farm, could you tell me?
But that wasn't when I was still at home, though.
Okay.
But see, we always had lots of cattle at home, you know. Dad always had lots of cattle. And of course, we always had plenty to eat.
Your mother had a garden?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, we always had a good garden. And one time, I was out in the hen house to gather up the eggs, and I heard a little chicken holler. Well, I knew we didn't have a hen a-setting, so I got to looking around. I've seen this little booger, and he had hatched out of the nest egg. Yeah, he'd hatched out of the nest egg. Well, I got him, took him to the house, and Mama crumbled up some little bit of cornbread, and he went to eating. He went to eating that cornbread. And I had a lid there or something other, and Mama gave him a drink. And he knew how to drink and everything too. And so he ate it. So that's the way we raised that little chicken. Well, and there was had at one time a house up there, about a quarter of a mile from the house, or not that far. But one year, Mama had to garden up there because it was a good garden spot. Well, that little chicken, of course it didn't take him long to get pretty good size. Every time, and he followed you everywhere you went. And he'd follow Mama up to the garden. Me and Dutch usually went along too. And when Mama would make the furs, you know, to plant something other, why, he's right along there just talking up a storm. And if there happened to be a bug or a worm or anything, he got it. So he was, like I said, he grew up. And one time, we were going down to Miss Bostic's down there. They lived just a mile exactly from us. And that chicken, one evening Mama said, let's go down to Miss Bostic's a while. Well, of course, we was ready to go, me and Dutch. And so here we go. We cut across the field, a little bit near. We cut across the field. Well, we heard something and looked around, and there was that chicken. He was following us, but we didn't know it. And when he'd get tired, why, he'd sit down and rest. Well, of course, me and Dutch would pick him up and carry him. We'd carry him a good piece, and then we'd put him down and let him walk some more. Well, when he got tired, he'd sit down again. Well, of course, and that's the way it was all the way down to Miss Bostic's and all the way back home. We had to carry him nearly all the way because he couldn't walk too far till he'd be give out and sit down. So anyway,
He became your pet.
oh yeah, he was a pet. You couldn't get out and go nowhere without him right along with you. And he'd just be chipping, I call it talking, every step of the way. Why, he'd just be talking up a storm.
Was it a hen or a rooster?
It was a rooster.
A rooster.
Yeah.
What was his name?
But we had a little hen, little brown hen. And how come her get to doing that, I don't know. But one day, she come here out on the porch. Mama had a quilt box here behind the door. And she'd come out that door and she would take on and walk. Just kept walking like that, backwards and forwards. So one day, Mama went to the door and said, "What in the world do you want?" Well, when Mama opened the door, she came in. She had come right in right there and jumped up on the old quilt box. Mama had 2 or 3 quilts stacked up there. She'd get right up there and lay an egg, get right down and walk right back outside. She wouldn't be in there 5 minutes till she'd have that egg laid and out. But every day, about 11 o'clock, you could set your clock by it. Why, here she was, wanting in. Well, then we'd open the door and she'd just come right in, jump up there, lay that egg, and then she's out and gone. 365 eggs a year, she laid one every day. And we had one guinea hen, and she laid in the nest with the chickens. Yeah, she laid in the nest with the chickens. And me and Dutch, we thought that guinea egg was something else, and one morning Dutch would eat the guinea egg, and next time I'd eat the guinea egg.
Well, what happened to the rooster?
Well, he was still there whenever I left.
He didn't become dinner?
No, oh no.
Did you name him?
Oh, Dick. We called him Dick.
Dick.
He knew his name too. Yeah, he knew his name.
That's pretty cool. Did your mother sell the eggs?
No, yeah, we sold eggs. Mama had a great big blue and white mingled stir, that big around and about that deep. Well, about every other day, me and Dutch would take them eggs to the Nebo store. And we'd always go barefooted, of course, and carry them. Both of us would carry that steer, and then each one of us would have a bucket of eggs in the other hand to carry. And that'd be over 2 miles where the store was, Hal's store. And we'd take them eggs off. And of course you didn't get about 5 cents a dozen for them. And a lot of times Mom would tell us if there was anything she needed, she'd just tell us to get that. And then we could get what we wanted to get with the rest of it. Well, so one time we had enough to get enough material to make Mama a dress. Yeah. We always spent it, and we always got a box of post toasties though. Because we thought they was the best things ever was them post toasties.
I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to look it up.
Post toasties?
Mhm.
What cereal?
Oh, that's cereal. Okay.
Why, yeah, it's cereal.
Okay.
It may not go with post toasties, the name of it, but that's what it was then.
Do you? Not candy. You wouldn't get candy?
Oh, I don't know. I ever got any candy or not. And the Garner boys, they lived right there next house down. And every time they went, none of them, Uncle Bill, they wasn't no kin to us or nothing. But his wife died when Ed was just 2 years old. He raised them 4 boys, all by himself, and worked and made a living for them 4 boys. And one time they got sick, and he killed a hen and was cooking that hen, had it hanging over the fireplace and to cook, and while they were sleeping, well, when it got when it went to getting done, why, he would taste of it to see if it is getting done or anything. Well, so I guess when it got done, he had tasted of it so much till there wasn't anything left. So he ate that, and then he went and killed another hen so he'd have it ready when his kids woke up, so they'd have some broth or something to give them, you know. And everything. Well, of course, none of them never did marry. And they were 4 boys. And they, Dolph, he worked for Henry Crosco, is who he worked for. And then, Ed and Jim and John, they always farmed the place they lived on. Well, they didn't live very much further than here. Wasn't no piece where they lived from us. Well, whenever they would get a bunch of eggs, why, they'd either take them to the Drake store, sometime they'd go to Nebo's store. Well, here'd come Ed up through the little old pasture, slinging them arms just like that, and come up to ask Mama if me and Dutch could go to the store with them. Mama said, well, if they want to go, they can go. So, of course, we always wanted to go. Well, they would buy us all the candy and apples and stuff like that, you know, all the time. And every time they caught a possum, Jim cooked it. So here I'd come out up there slinging them arms just like that, and asked Mama if me and Dutch could come and eat dinner with them. They're having possum and sweet potatoes. Well, if they want to go, they can. Well, of course, we always wanted to go. And we'd go down there. And Jim could make just as good a biscuits as you ever ate. He made biscuits 3 times a day. Jim is the one that did the cooking. And I know he made biscuits 3 times a day. Morning, noon, and night. So anyway.
What does a possum taste like?
Good. I've even cooked possum myself. I wouldn't eat one of them for nothing. Well, I don't care whether they eat it or not, but it's good. Every time Ed and Jim and them got a possum, they cooked it. And that Ed had come up there and asked Mama if, they called her Miss Reniger, he called us the babies. Can the babies come and eat dinner with them? We're having possum and sweet potatoes. And of course, all had them good biscuits and something else, of course. something else besides just possum. And Mom would say, well, if they want to go, they can. So, of course, we always wanted to go, you know.
Sure.
And that's what we'd have. Possum and sweet potatoes and biscuits and I don't know what else.
Maybe that possum's why you're still here.
Well, maybe. A lot of people, oh, I wouldn't eat that. No way would I eat that.
I've had
Well,
possum.
it's good. I don't care what anybody says.
Well, would they do turtle soup and
Oh, they never killed a turtle.
do the
And
turtle?
no,
Rabbits?
no.
No.
Raccoon?
They would have dressed a rabbit out, but if they ever had one, but they didn't.
How about go fishing?
Oh, now down there at Oil Creek, where the bridge, at the bridge, there was a little hole of water, not very big. That's where we'd go fishing at. And of course, Ed and Jim would all go with us. But all we ever caught out of there was this little bitty perch. And I remember one time we caught a little catfish about that long. But you know, perch has the best flavor of any fish I ever ate. Perch.
I haven't had any perch.
But then they're have lots of bones in them. You have to be awful careful not get a bone.
Well, what would you have anything on your bucket list you still want to do? Anything you've always wanted to do but never had a chance to, but you'd still like to?
What?
Do it?
No, we just I just stay here and do whatever I have to do here, and maybe go down Francis and stay a few days when I have to. I go down there to the doctor. I go down there to Dr. Van Quiz. He's from the Philippines. You can't get a doctor now unless they're from other country. So Dr. Van Quiz, he's from the Philippines.
Well, he's taking pretty good care of you, isn't he?
And I had an appointment for the 8th of April. Well, his nurse was sick then. Then they put me up to the 13th of April. Well, then he was sick. The doctor was sick. So then they put it up till the 23rd of April. So then's when I seen him, the 23rd of April. And he said he wasn't really sick, but he had been sawing a limb from the house because it was getting over on the house. And he was up here like this, he said, sawing, and all that dust, sawdust was coming right down in his face. He didn't have his face covered up, and it just got covered with this sawdust. And it gave him something, I don't know what he said now, but said they were for 2 days there that he just couldn't hardly do anything. So they called and said he was sick. So then they gave me the appointment for the 23rd. So that's when I went and seen him, and he's telling us all about that.
Do you have any advice for someone who would want to live?
Huh?
Do you have any advice for someone who would want to live 100 or more years? What advice would you give someone?
I don't know nothing, only work. over there, Lone Grove one day. Oh, there's a whole bunch up there. Wanted to talk to me and tell me, ask me this and that. What did I do to live so long? I told them, work. That's all I knew to tell them, was to work. That's all I ever done. Good night.
Well, how did you celebrate your 100th birthday?
How did I celebrate it?
Yeah.
Well, I had a party for me down there at the Dixon Senior Citizen Building. That's where we've had it every year. They've already got it reserved for this time.
Now, if history were written today, what would you want it to say about you? How would you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered? Well, Lord, I don't know. I don't know nothing, only just I've worked all my life and loved it.
Daddy's little cowboy.
That's right. I've been Dad's cowboy ever since I was knee-high to a duck. Been riding a horse. Me and Dutch, when Vera went to school, why she stayed at Lansford's, because they had a little girl just the same age and same size and same grade and everything as Vera was. Well, so Vera stayed there during the week and went to school with her, because they didn't live no piece from the schoolhouse. And so Dad would saddle up our horses. My horse was a sorrel with long mane and tail that touched the ground. And Dad's was a dark bay with long mane and tail that touched the ground. Well, on Friday evenings, Dad'd saddle up our horses, stick me up there on mine. I was just a little bitty kid. And we'd go and pick up Vera. And then we'd take her back on Sunday evening. And we rode them horses. They was both about the same size, just as pretty a horses as you ever seen. And one day somebody asked Dad, see, I always went with him horseback, and had on my overalls and cap, hat. They asked Dad one time, somebody did, I don't know who now, was that a girl or a boy? Dad told him it was a girl, but I was his cowboy.
You had a good relationship with your father.
Oh yeah, we rode twice a week, every Friday and Saturday. Sunday. Going getting beer and taking her back. I could ride good as the next guy.
I believe it.
Well, I could. I used to be stout. Now, I mean stout. And after I got big enough to harness up the mules, well, I harnessed up the mules, and for years we just had a sulky plow. For a long time, see, just had that sulky plow. It just turned over. There's riding plows, but just turned over one furrow. You use 3 mules to pull it. And later on, Dad bought a gain plow, turned over 2 furrows, but it took 4 mules to pull it. Well, after I got big enough where I could harness up the mules, why, I harnessed up the mules to go to the field plow. Dad didn't have to do nothing because I knew how to do it and done it. Heck yeah, and then whenever it get all plowed, why, I'd hook the mules to the hire. Of course, I had a 12-foot wide, 2 inches thick board that laid across the double section hire. Well, I'd stand on that board and hire everything that I'd plowed, and then take the drill and fill it up with oats and plant it. I did all of that by myself.
And that
I knew how to do it too.
before you were 16.
Yeah, before I was 16. Oh yeah. Lord, yeah. Like I say, I used to be stout. And me and Dutch one time, we wanted a ring. So, you know, we used to get catalogs. Get one from Sears Roebuck, one from Montgomery Morgs. So we was looking in there and we found these rings, me and Dutch. $1.65. Well, we ordered one. I've still got mine. Of course, it's wore way down. That's the reason why I don't wear it anymore, because I didn't want to
Lose it.
wear it plumb in two. And I still got that ring. I've had it, I guess, 90-something years. Because when we got them, we had to wear them on our big finger, and we had a twine string on the ring, and then bring it down here and tie it around the wrist so we wouldn't lose it. Until we got big enough, our fingers got big enough where we didn't have to have that string.
That's pretty smart.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And them rings, they just cost $1.65. And mine says solid gold in it, but that just didn't.
So you chose wiser.
Huh?
So you chose wiser.
Well, I didn't know of them.
Just luck. Just luck.
Yeah, just one I got then had solid gold
You can remember dates really well.
in that. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I know all my grandkids' names and birthdays.
Were you good at math?
Not algebra. I never did learn algebra. Mr. McGibney'd call me ivory top bonehead.
What about reading? Do you enjoy reading?
Oh, I could read. I didn't enjoy much of anything like that, 'cause I liked to plow and
Get out of work.
feed cattle and stuff like that. But I made my first pie when I was 12 years old, though. And it turned out to be real good. And I had to make pies then, from then on.
What was it?
It was chocolate.
Chocolate.
And I even had to make pies for the thrasher when they come. And then at one time, Mama was sick and couldn't go down to Miss Bostick's when the thrasher was there. See, Miss Bostick would come up the house and help Mama get dinner. Well, Mama'd always go down there and help her get dinner. Well, Mama was sick one time, so she sent me. Well, first thing Miss Bostick done, Ruby, you're gonna have to make the pies. Well, of course, I always have a cake made, you know, and make about 3 pies. And sometimes there wouldn't be any of it left, any pies left. But after I learned how to make pies, I had to make them from then on. And used to every Saturday evening. Why, then's when we would make pies and make a cake and a couple of pies to have for Sunday dinner. Because Miss Bostick and Mr. and Miss Bostick and their kids would come up the house. Well, me and Dutch and her kids, they had Perry, Wilson, and Little Joe. Well, we all had on overalls and things, and all of us out there playing, you couldn't hardly tell us apart. And they always brought they had a pony. It was a gray pony, and that was the gentlest thing ever was. It was like that there cow. And you could just crawl under her or anything, hang on to her tail or anything, and she wouldn't move. Well, after we would get through with dinner, then they would let us go ride the pony. All 5 of us kids would get on that pony, bareback. And of course we just rode around there. We didn't get out and go nowhere or nothing, just ride around there. All 5 of us kids on that pony.
At one time.
At one time.
That poor pony.
Well, that pony, we wasn't big enough to hurt her.
Just little kids.
Or nothing. But all 5 of us get on her. Now that's how little we were, you know, to get on her and ride her bareback and everything.
Well, by dinner you mean lunch? What we call lunch now? The noon meal?
Yeah, it's dinner.
It's dinner. Breakfast,
Dinner, and supper. That's the way it's been all my life, and that's the way it still is.
Okay.
For me.
Sure.
Well, that's the way it's been all our life. And when we'd get in from school, of course, we had to hurry up, because we didn't get out till 4 o'clock. Books took up at 8, and you got out at 4. Well, we had to step on it to get down there, and we had to step on it to get back so we run in, get our clothes changed, and carry in enough wood for Mama the next day for the heater and the cook stove. We had a big home comfort range. That's the kind of stove we had. Dad gave $500 for it. The guy came around showing those stoves. He had a little one with him. Boy, that was the cutest little stove you ever seen. Now he said the big stove would be just exactly like this one. And it was. And Dad gave $500 for that stove.
That's a lot of money in those days.
But it was a good one. It had a reservoir on it, you know, and everything. You fill up that full of water, and you had hot water all the time.
You've had a fascinating life.
Well, like I say, I've worked all my life, and that's all I know. That's what people have. Well, what do you do to work? Live so long. I told them work. Well, that's all I know.
And it worked.
Is work, and I still work.
Well, I think we'll close and say thank you for sharing your stories with us today. You've been great.
Well, that probably ain't all of them either.